Okay, so question 7. So I know it's part 3 and part 4 we're looking for solutions, but the first part is omega cubed. Write it in terms of cosine. So omega cubed becomes cosine theta plus I sine theta cubed, which will become cosine 3 theta plus I sine 3 theta. Okay, then expand. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2 then is to use binomial theorem to expand it. So 3 choose 0 cosine cubed theta plus 3 choose 1 cosine squared theta I sine theta plus 3 choose 2 cosine theta and then I sine theta is squared plus 3 choose 3 I sine theta cubed. 3 choose 1 is 1, so just cosine cubed theta. 3 choose 1 is 3 cosine squared theta, and then I sine theta, so I'll put the I out here. 3 choose 2 is also 3, so 3 cosine theta sine squared theta, and the I squared becomes negative 1, so I'm going to change that to minus. Plus 3 choose 3 is 1, so it becomes I cubed, and I cubed is negative I, so let's go straight to that, minus I sine cubed theta. Now, that's part 1. Part 3, sorry, that's part 2. Equate the real part from part 1 with the real part of part 2, right? So these are basically the same thing. We've used the Moivre's theorem to cube this binomial, and then we've used the binomial expansion to do the same thing. So these results are the same. So because this complex number equals this complex number, we can equate the real parts with the real parts. So basically the real part here is anything with an I. So here it's cosine 3 theta equals, what's real here? Well, we've got cosine cubed theta. This is an I, so it's imaginary. This is an I, it's imaginary. So it's just minus 3 cosine theta sine squared theta. Okay. Prove the identity. Right, so I don't want the sine squared. So I'm going to use the fact that sine squared theta is 1 minus cosine squared theta. So that means that cosine 3 theta is cosine cubed theta minus 3 cosine theta by 1 minus cosine squared theta. So cosine cubed theta minus 3 cosine by 1 is minus 3 cosine theta, and by minus cosine squared theta is plus 3 cosine cubed theta. So now I've got 3 cosine cubed theta and a cosine cubed theta, so that's 4 cosine cubed theta minus 3 cosine theta as asked. Okay, apologies, I forgot to do part 4. Part 4, if f of theta is 4 cosine cubed theta minus 3 cosine theta, find the period and the range. Now, that's too confusing for this. What we need to use is the fact that this equals cosine 3 theta. So the period and the range for this is much easier. Period is 2 pi over, there's a 3 in front of the theta, so over 3. And the range, it's a single cosine, so it's minus 1 to 1. Okay, here we go.